Hello, and welcome to another episode of the weekly anime review show on Mob Psycho, Bleach, and Chainsaw Man. I guess, this is episode 3, week 3, whatever you want to call it. And let's get right into Mob Psycho, I guess. Yeah, sounds good. So, in this episode of Mob Psycho, we definitely get a lot more development than the previous two episodes, at least in my opinion, because, or at least character development for Mob, because Mob all of a sudden realizes that he's kind of living a better life. He has more relationships with women, which is one of his goals. I don't know if it's, well, I guess his main goal is Tsubomi, but then he's a boy, he likes being popular, so and we get to see that take its course here, where he kind of develops a little bit of an ego, which is really cool to see, because you never really see, well, you see Mob confident, but never really he never really has an ego, at least to this extent. Maybe in the other seasons, you get to see his confidence, that he's gonna take charge, he's gonna do some shit, or maybe he does get a little bit how do you say, oh my god, does this girl like me and shit. That was the season 2 episode 1 thing, and he, that I feel like that's more of a bit here. It definitely does seem like he's developing an ego, which is I think different from all that, because they're kind of putting the spin on it, his face is changing, he fucking deepens his voice when he's talking to girls, which is hilarious to me. I don't know if it's just me as well, but he looks taller. I don't know if that's just the anime being the anime, but to me, he looks more straighten up kind of person, so I feel like that's a really interesting turn with Mob's character. But then he's got Reagan there to sort of reel him in, though, so if he ever goes overboard too much, even his other friends, right, fuck, what, shit, I just forgot his name, god damn it, the guy with the blonde hair, is it Tomizawa something, Hanazawa Teruki. Him, even Ritsu are probably people who could peg him down a little bit if he ever gets too high on his horse, right? But in this episode, at least, I guess they're kind of bigging him up, where Ritsu's crying that Mob is finally getting popular, which is a misunderstanding, because everyone's oh my god, Ritsu's so hot. And even Hanazawa is yo, you're fucking, this is your time, you're goated, man, revel in it, which is, I don't know if they're genuine in that, they don't see that it's not real, he's not actually super popular, but he is definitely more, I don't want to call it egotistical, but he's definitely more confident than he was in the beginning season. And I guess this also helps with bridge the gap with that second episode, which I said I felt was weak. But if you take that second episode as Mob gaining confidence, he's problem solving on his own and shit, it kind of connects here, where it takes it to another level, where he's getting an ego, and then that'll lead to some other stuff later. But in the background, there's also Dimple taking the energy from the divine broccoli tree thing that people are worshipping, and that is something that I do remember from the manga. So, you know, I guess, and I feel like that's also pretty predictable as well. That's what Dimple's doing since the first episode, because like they did that little tidbit there. But then you get to see Dimple kind of talk with Mob a little bit and be like, "Yo, the Psycho Helmet religion thingy audition needs a face for their leader," and then fuck, I can't remember if he was saying that he was going to be the leader or if he was trying to push Mob to be the leader. Well, but something was trying to happen where he was like settling a deal with Mob, and maybe he was trying to push Mob to be the leader, so then he and Mob can be like side by side, kind of ruling over everything. But you know, Mob is apprehensive about it, but I don't know. The whole thing is that Mob doesn't really know like the full extent of what's happening right now, because you know, the day of the audition was with Tome and Misato were the like two girls that he was interacting with at the start. I was like, "Oh shit, you need to talk, you need to hang out with me to find some telepaths." And then Misato was like, "Oh, you need to come to an audition for the Psycho Helmet thingy." And the day comes and, you know, both are missing, which is, you know, it's got that mystery to it, which is cool to see. You know, you're like, "Oh shit, where they go? Are they kidnapped? Are they in danger?" I feel like I think I remember what happens, but at the same time, I could be making this shit up. Maybe in the manga they never were missing, but I do remember the Psycho Helmet religion thing audition where shit, that scene was crazy, where you had this fake Mob character kind of you know, do his little speech, and then at the same time Reagan is watching and being like, "Oh shit, is that Mob? Wait, that's not Mob. Mob's supposed to be there." Mob is at like the park waiting for Misato, but you know, his phone's out of battery. He's been calling them, but they're missing. And you're just like, "Oh shit, something sus is happening." And you know, I guess like the first thought in my head is this has something to do with Dimple. Dimple's doing some shit, because this guy obviously has some power. He has like, it's actually I put him on the thumb now. Here, he's on the right. You get to see he's got his arms stretched out and shit. Don't worry about the rest of the thumbnail. But you know, it's a cool villain, I think, because it's basically, it looks like Mob himself. He said that you know, he was the one that created the divine tree or something along those lines. So since Mob kind of assisted in that, maybe he's an offspring of Mob's power. That's another thought. Or maybe it is flat out just Dimple being the fucking whole mastermind behind all this. But like I said, I don't remember the manga too well, so I could be completely off base with all this. But that doesn't stop me from being interested in what happens next in the anime. I also do enjoy how Emmy, did I mention it already? Maybe, but the girl that was dating or fake dating Mob last season, and then, you know, got her novel all torn up and shit, and then, you know, Mob saved her novel in front of her friends who were being like assholes, and then, you know, it was a really touching scene. It was a scene I cried in, and or at least I hope it's her. Or I'm looking like a fucking idiot right now, but you know, she gets like a small cameo here, which is cool to see that, you know, she's paying attention to Mob still. Doesn't seem to really have feelings for Mob though, but just like, you know, acknowledges his existence, which is neat to see. But you know, dude, that episode in season 2 was still like, shit, that's a fucking setup for a really good love story that never happened, because this anime is not about love. Or is it? Because, you know, Tsubomi gets a scene with Mob, and you wonder if like maybe there's more happening there as well. Does Tsubomi think of Mob in a different light now? I don't know. We'll see. Is there anything else I could add to the episode? I don't know. It was still an enjoyable episode, I guess. Serizawa gets a cool scene again, talking about his night school where he what's happening? I think he said something like he stopped trying to make friends, and it's just like, I'm guessing he's just trying to finish his school year and shit, get his degree, his certificate, or whatever you want to call it, that he finished high school. Which is, it's a cool storyline, plotline, character line that's happening in between these episodes. You want to see these characters progress in their lives and shit. So it's cool that they're still adding on to it. It's not like one line they put in an episode and then they forget about it later, like they never bring it up. I guess like the scene was also kind of supposed to be for Reagan, because Reagan is the mentor for Mob and Serizawa, and like the scene was basically like, oh, Serizawa, how good's your school right now? And then the Mob's like, oh, you have any troubles lately and shit? And then Mob's like, oh, not really. Well, actually, I'm gonna go to this religious meeting and shit. And I think that's cool for Reagan, because he's really taken in this mentor role seriously. He understands that you need to pay attention to these people, because one small thing they could go back off track, and Reagan's there to keep a hand on that. But you still get to see the greedy side of Reagan, I guess, when he sees how big the what do you call them, the religious order, the Psycho Helmet religion is. And he's like, oh my god, business idea, we can make money, Mob. But I guess the whole thing is, we know Reagan probably wouldn't exploit a bunch of people. He would rather, like, maybe if Mob becomes the leader, they'll give donations, and then he'll take a cut. Something like that might happen, or is like something he would do. He wouldn't be like, oh my god, let's fucking exploit these people and fucking ruin everything. It's like, that's not how Reagan operates. Overall though, it's definitely what I asked for last episode, because I if you watch that episode, or the last episode of this review show, I said, damn, like it kind of felt like a filler. There wasn't a lot of development in the plot of the season, and this definitely delivered on that extent. Like, there's still some mystery happening. You're seeing the roots of, I'm guessing, the divine tree spreading across the city and shit, causing some issues there. And then you get to see a major player being this sort of plant Mob character. It's a cool design. It looks like he's made out of fucking roots and shit, but he's a person. So, can't wait to see what happens next episode. If I were to give it a rating, I would say, honestly, maybe like a 7.5 out of 10. I think, what did I get? I gave the last episode 7 out of 10, and I was kind of critical on it, and this kind of gave what I wanted, but I'm only giving it like 0.5 more, which is kind of weird. I don't know. I don't really have a criteria when I'm giving these ratings. I guess it's more of a feeling thing, and this episode definitely was good, just like the last episode was good, and there's still the mystery there and this development, but I don't know. I guess it still feels like it's setting up, and I can't say it's like a fucking 7, 8, 9, or 10 until it reaches the climaxes, which I know Mob Psycho is gonna deliver in. So, I guess we'll wait and see. And with that, let's go to Bleach episode 3. Fuck, what's it called? It was called something like Mirrors of Stone, Miners of Stone, something like that. But episode 3 of Bleach. Let me. It was a cool episode. You really get to see a lot more of the Quincy's, what's happening. You get a little bit of everything. You get some fights. You get Uryu. You get the pull up. I don't. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack, I think, but I don't. I feel like I went scene by scene last episode. I kind of don't want to do that again because maybe I talked for too long and like didn't really get any points across. So I'll just shorten the points a little bit more. I guess one thing is the OP fight with Ichigo. Continues. Fuck. He does his like glove rip thingy, and which is like, oh, fuck. What? I really should have just took notes on this out of everything, but it's called something like Let's Steals, something like Let's Seals, some German name, and which is what Uryu used against Mayuri Kuritsuchi in the Soul Society arc, when he fucking cracked a part of his glove, and then for like a short time was given the ability to like take the reishi. Fuck, what was the dub equivalent of that? Maybe they called it reishi as well in the dub, because I can't remember if they had a translation for it, like spirit energy, spirit particle, something like that. Maybe it was spirit energy. I can't remember too much, but it's reishi. That's what they're calling it now. And Uryu in the Soul Society was like, taking apart the Soul Society. Fuck. No, what is it called? Serite? Basically the buildings, right? Because they're all made out of reishi, they're all out of spiritual energy, and he's able to absorb them, kind of like a spirit bomb, and then like use for his own powers, which is like fucking, it's OP as fuck. But the whole drawback was he could only do it for a short amount of time, and then like by the end of it he loses his Quincy powers forever. But then anime bullshit, he gets his powers back. This, however, is like, I'm guessing like an upgraded version of it, because the version Uryu had was from his grandpa. This is probably the superior version, which doesn't have those drawbacks, and it's probably more powerful. But Ichigo's there, and he's ready to fuck shit up. You also get, I actually really like how the Trebistia, 3 beast girls, it's not the end of them. They summon their Aeon guy, who kind of thrashes OP for a little bit, which is kind of surprising to see, but then also kind of makes sense as well, because Aeon was only defeated by Captain Yamamoto, I think. I forget who Aeon was fighting between that. I think it was just a bunch of lieutenants, and like the lieutenants could not do shit to him, so Captain Yamamoto like just fucking one-shot him. So then I guess like that puts into perspective some of the power scaling, because this guy is stronger than a lieutenant probably, but nowhere near Captain Yamamoto level. Maybe he's captain level, I don't know. But in the fight against Ichigo, when Ichigo is like, by the end of it, is like, oh, you have this fucking crown angel thingy on your head. It's like, if I destroy this, you can't fucking suck any more energy. And he's ready to fuck shit up. And it's excited for the fight. I think it's obvious that Ichigo is going to win. But the reason why Ichigo, or the fighting in the first place, was because the Quincy King, as soon as he got word that Ichigo pulled up in Hueco Mundo and is fighting OP, he was like, yo, we're invading Soul Society. And yeah, they pull up. Like, they pull up hard. And bro, like, the fucking music that plays is so amazing. The flames that pop out, like, you know, flames of reishi that they call it. It looks so good. And then you get to see like that one guy have like, you know, fucking spirit gun, finger gun thingy, just kills Kira. And like, I don't even know if Kira's dead. That's the thing, right? Like, I've forgotten the manga so much. I don't remember if Kira dies like that. And it's really cool to see. I don't want to say that. How do I say this? Kira's arc character arc, I remember, kind of fell under Gin's a lot. So I guess this was kind of like the end of his character with Gin. Because like after that, what else do you have with him? He's got nothing else because he was just the Gin simp the whole time. And you know, so with that out the way, I guess, like, you know, like he didn't really like it didn't feel like he was a character that was cut short, if that makes sense. But it is kind of sad we never got to see his Bankai, because I think he did actually have one of the cooler Zanpakuto abilities, where it was like Wabisuke. It's actually kind of memorable. I can't believe I remember the name, but you know, it's the fucking like hook right angle kind of Zanpakuto, and then every time it hits something, it doubles the weight. That's a really cool thing. And like, dude, like, imagine what the Bankai could be like. That it sounds cool, but you know, we'll never see what happens. It's also kind of crazy how the scene he gets killed in as well is like he has like 3 other Soul Reapers with him who they get like their like title card name pop up and shit, but then they're fucking dismantled immediately as well. It's so crazy. And then these Quincy's that pop up, I'm guessing they're the Stern Ritter. I read it in my other notes actually. Stern Ritter. Yeah. I'm guessing they're Stern Ritters. We don't even get introduced to them, or like they show up, but we don't get their names or anything. So hopefully we get to see that next episode, because I've forgotten all about them, and I am ready to learn more about the fucking girl, because she looks really cute. Like, I'm a simp. She looked fire in the opening as well. I guess like some other shit that popped up as well was Kuritsuchi had a talk with Captain Yamamoto, and you find out that he was the reason for the disappearing Rukon District souls. I guess they're called souls. There were 28,000 of them, which is, you know, crazy number. And you know, Captain Yamamoto's like, why the fuck are you doing this shit? And Kuritsuchi's like, yo, a bunch of hollows died, so you need to do this to rebalance things. And I guess, and then like they get into a little argument as well. Oh, sorry about that. On how Captain Yamamoto should have killed that guy 1,000 years ago, which is probably the Quincy King, right? And that's such an interesting storyline, right? Because you're like, oh my god, Captain Yamamoto, he is like over 1,000 years old then, and he has this history with the Quincy's, but then the Quincy's were only annihilated 200 years ago. So you're like, oh my god, it's the last arc, and there's still so much mystery in the series. Like, oh, what is this backstory that Captain Yamamoto has? and shit. Who is the Quincy King? What more do they have? And you see Uryu kind of investigating as well. It's kind of corny a little bit how the dad is doing the whole like, oh, I told you not to read over there, and Uryu's like, oh, I'm trying to research more. Why the Quincy's attacking? Blah blah blah. And the dad's like, you won't find your answer there. Uryu's like, oh shit. So I'm not supposed to be looking in the library. I should be looking at your office. And, he finds a notebook which belongs to apparently his grandpa, I think is what he said, the sensei. And he was like, and then like, I'm guessing that holds a bunch of truths about the Quincy's that he didn't know. About like this other order of Quincy's, something about his mom, maybe about his heritage. I do know a little bit about this, but not fully. I just know that they do kind of hint to it a little bit with Opie when Ichiko says some shit like, oh, these arrows, they're actually stronger than Uryu's. Not that I fought Uryu in quite a bit. And then, the guy was like, Uryu Shida? That's impossible. Because, I guess these Quincy's know about Uryu. And when you think about it, that Aranka Quincy thing that came in the first episode was also probably looking for Uryu, not Ichigo. And the mystery is just still there. Like it's creeping up on you, and I'm just loving where this is bringing me, because it really does give you like the old school Bleach vibes, where non-stop action, a mystery going along with the action, but then above that you have the villains. You don't even know if they're villains, right? Because the Quincy's were massacred by the Soul Reapers, but honestly, like, it's like they gave a line. The sixth seat of, I forget which squad, but he's wearing glasses. He has a fucking chain on. He looks like Aizen. It's mostly the fucking glasses that make him look like Aizen, but he gives like the whole thing where it's like the Deku Soul Reaper guy is like, oh my god, are we even in the right here? And they do the line where it's like, it's war. Like if any other thing is, it's called a crusade. Fuck, it's not crusade. They gave some line where it's like, oh, if this was for justice, it would be called this. But this is war, and it's war because both sides are just, at least in their heads, right? The Soul Reapers think they're just in wiping out the Quincy's. The Quincy's think they're just for retaliating against the Soul Reapers. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, both sides are doing evil things, and but then honestly, like, rightly so. I don't want to say rightly so. There's no excuse for war, but at the same time, you understand where it's coming from. Like, you massacre a whole people and shit, they're gonna feel some kind of way. It gives like that little bit of Attack on Titan vibes, I guess. If anyone's watched Attack on Titan, I haven't finished I finished the anime, but the anime isn't finished yet. I'm waiting for the next season. But the whole war conflict does kind of remind me of that a little bit. Though I love Bleach because this is only episode 3 and it's already this fucking amazing, right? Like, I'm titling this episode Anime of the Year because I do truly think Bleach is going to be Anime of the Year. Like, the what they're doing in terms of storytelling, in terms of fucking animation, art, opening, ending, fucking music throughout this. Oh my dude, they did 2 remixes to one of like the 2, or I don't want to say like the most iconic, because like they're still number 1 and shit like that, and other songs that are like probably more, famous isn't the right word. What do you call it when they're like a fan would pick up on a song more popular, I guess. There are songs that are more popular, but they remixed two songs. I don't even know if remix is the right word. Like they remastered, redid. They vamped up these songs. Precipice of Defeat, which is the I fucking botched that, didn't I? But at least I fuck, is that Precipice of Defeat? You know, I'm not even gonna fucking fact check. It's Precipice of the Defeat. Precipice of Defeat. What the fuck am I saying? And yeah, they kind of revamped that. Like they like did like more drums and shit, but then you still heard like the screeching shit, and you're just like, this shit still hits. It's so good. And they did the same thing with the Hollow track as well, with like the fucking you know, there's drums and shit, but then like instead of like it's like either a synth or keyboard or whatever that was in the original, it's just a fucking this heavy guitar that they played instead, and you're just like, dude, they're hitting all the right spots, bro. And even with all those like bringing those older tracks back, there's these new tracks as well where I'm assuming there are new tracks where whenever the Quincy's are attacking, when they invaded the Soul Society, the music that plays, it actually just like enhances the scene to a whole nother fucking level. But like that's throughout the entire episode. The music transcends everything. Animation is still fucking amazing. Directing, you're like, oh my god, the way these like the guy with the fucking spirit gun where he's like fucking turning back and then like shoots, and you know the guy's head pops off. You're like, oh my god, that looks so good. I can't gush more about this anime. It's actually impossible, but I have to stop myself now because I don't want this to be another hour-long rambling session. Or maybe I do, but you know, I'm gonna stop myself now. If you can't, you know, catch on by now, I'm giving this episode a 10 out of 10 because Bleach is a 10 out of 10 show. And it's going to be anime of the year. I stand by that. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. You know, I know. Like I guess like the caveat to me saying this, right, is obviously I am heavily biased because I love the original series of Bleach. I wouldn't put the original Bleach series like in a top 10 list or anything like that. I wouldn't even put the manga in like a top 10 list. But damn, does this anime bring back all the nostalgia, plus it's actually good. Kind of reminds me of Cobra Kai in that way, but the thing is like Cobra Kai is different, you know. I don't think I would ever put Cobra Kai in like a top 10 TV show thing either. It's just very, very fun to watch. I think that's the thing. And the same thing here with Bleach. It's very fun to watch. Maybe that's what makes it hard to like for people to rank up higher, is that like maybe they think, you know, it's fun to watch, but it doesn't have the substance that other shit have. Which I disagree with fully. I think Bleach has a lot of substance in it. It's such a good series. I love it. But I'll stop talking about Bleach and move on to Chainsaw Man. This is episode 3 of Chainsaw Man, and you know, it continues right off from the last episode, which I like because, you know, last episode you get the 3 minutes of power, and then, you know, it cuts off, and I thought that was a really cool way to end the episode, and then, you know, you caught right back into it. Does that make sense? Into this episode where Denji and Power are getting scolded by Makima. They're like, bro, you can't just fucking kill shit like that, man. And then, you know, they're both making excuses and shit. And then I guess like they get off it because, you know, maybe they get off with a warning or some shit. And Denji and Power are kind of bonding a little bit, where, you know, they kind of give their reasonings and shit. Power wants to save her cat Meowie, or Nyanko in the Japanese. It's kind of like, I understand why they localized that, translated that, because Nyanko maybe doesn't immediately tick that it's a cat, and it might be like a weird name. But Meowie is also kind of a weird name, but it is what it is, right? But yeah, Denji, I'm still not liking his character that much, honestly. Like, I like him for like a bunch of other stuff, but I dislike him because he's pathetic. It's the same recurring thing, right? But like, I guess it is what it is, and we'll have to continue with the show to see how it develops, if it changes, if anything arises from it. I can't exactly vibe with a guy whose whole motive is to grab tits, whatever the fuck it is, right? Like, if other people accept that shit, I'm not gonna fucking try and convince them otherwise. I'm just saying, from my perspective, the whole like, oh my god, people have like a bunch of motivation because they want to shave people, shave humans, kill demons because they hate them and shit. But I just want to grab boobies. It's like, it's not that I have a problem with someone living that way. It's more of like, in a show like this, it's not interesting, right? Like the I'm not seeing the like the storytelling aspect where you get to see a character's motivations and how they progress in life and shit. Like, this kind of seems like, oh, this is a funny, goofy thing that you could do for a character. It kind of fits with his like sort of airhead, stupid character, and then we'll put it in because it makes sense. And I guess it makes sense, right? But it doesn't create story opportunities, if that makes sense, right? Like I don't see Denji having a conflict with other characters. It seems more like Denji is just gonna be like, bro, I want to grab titties, and that's it. It's just, it's lackluster, right? I don't know if that's me expecting more than I should, or maybe that's me falling for the show, like I said in previous episodes, where it's like, maybe they're trying to make you feel like this. You're supposed to see Denji as pathetic, and we'll see what happens later on. But that's only part of this episode. The other part obviously is Power, and we get to see a lot more of Power, a little bit of her backstory. I still love Power, by the way. When she was naked and shit, I'm like, I'm gonna smack. But I gotta keep it real. I gotta keep it 100%, right? Keep it 100, Mob Psycho 100, right? Where she's I don't know if it's me not understanding the story, the character or some shit, right? But I guess I'll start from the beginning, right? Her cat is taken hostage, has been taken hostage by a demon, and she asks Denji for some help in exchange for grabbing her tits, right? Which I don't hate as a premise for this little storyline. And the whole thing is when she gets to the house, her sort of like lie kind of falls apart when he's like, wait, if you're coming and you're not able to do anything because they're holding her hostage, why are you even here? Why don't you just let me handle it? And then she knocks him out and drags him into the house. And it's actually a really cool fucking way they did it, with like the blood trail and shit and dragging him off. It had like a little bit of that horror vibe, which is really cool. But at the same time, fuck, is this demon boring as fuck. Just like the first episode with the zombie demon, it was, I don't know, the whole like, oh, I'm here to fucking use humans and blah 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 blah, and like, oh, suck, I want the blood of humans. Oh, your blood tastes nasty. I want to have some yummy humans, pregnant men and young children and shit. And it's like, I don't know, like, again, maybe this is me expecting way more than I ever should in this in these few episodes, right? So it's only episode 3, and especially for like not a main villain, it's just a side villain. But it is at the same time where, like, bro, if you overhype this show and then you have a boring kind of side story like this, it's hard. It's hard to see what makes this such a great show. Because I'll still admit, right? The fight scene that happened at the end was great. Animation was amazing. Fucking a lot of things about the fight were like, stellar. But it loses impact because the demon was boring to me, right? The demon ate Power and the cat, and Power did a whole thing where it's confusing to me, right? Because Power was like, oh, foolish human, you trusted me when you probably shouldn't have. I'm a fucking fiend, demon being, whatever the fuck she is. I'll still smash. But then she was tricked by this bat demon as well, which I can't take seriously, right? Because it's such a simple sort of line of thinking, right? If they're doing the whole like comparison of like the fuck, I don't know what you call it. What do you call that shit? Hubris, maybe? No, I don't think that meshes well. But it's some sort of character conflict where it's like, karma maybe, where it's like, oh, I tricked you, but then I was tricked all along. You shouldn't trust a human. Blah blah blah. It's like, but then it's like, it's so, I don't know. It came off the wrong way. It didn't. I felt like they were trying to make it where Power has a lot more, third dimension to her, where she isn't. Because like when she's introduced, she kind of seems like this one-minded, single-minded, single thought train, brain cell kind of character, right? A lot of fun like that. But then here, it's supposed to add depth to her, right? Because like, oh, she feels for her pets and shit. Maybe it's because I've never had a pet and like I never had that bond. Maybe if you had a pet, you could relate instantly and you'd be like, oh my god, the cat, blah 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 blah. But at the same time, I'm just like, bro, like, are you a fucking idiot or something? The fucking scene where the demon took the cat, it looked so stupid. I don't know if that's me. See, I don't know if like I should take that differently. Maybe it should be a thing like, as soon as the demon took the cat, that was her hostage or his hostage, so she couldn't do anything in retaliation. Or maybe the whole thing was supposed to be Power had a genuine relationship with the cat, so that's how much she values the cat. Or maybe Power doesn't understand the relationship with the cat, doesn't really fully understand her feelings for the cat, because they did a thing where Power was like, oh, Pochi is gone and shit, and you'll never pet him again, but he's in your heart. It's like, oh, that's just a human talk, like blah 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 blah. But then when the demon ate the cat, she was like, oh, guess this is kind of how it feels to not be able to pet your pet anymore, eh? I don't know. It came off less as adding depth to a character and more of corny storytelling, which may be the point of all this shit, right? But I dislike it because I like Power, right? Like, even throughout all this, right? Even I'm kind of going hard on Power, but like, bro, I would go hard on Power if you know what I mean, right? Like I still like Power. I don't think she's a bad character, but I kind of wished if this is supposed to be her backstory, there's the story that gives her more depth. I am disappointed. It's I don't, and that's not to say it's bad, because it's not bad. It's just I wanted more, and I don't know. I don't know if that's just my thought, but yeah, it is what it is, and the anime can try and trick you with like these cool fight scenes and stuff. I've never been one to be amazed by fight scenes and shit, like off of fight scenes. Is that a lie? Because like sometimes it's true. Like sometimes, I can recognize good animation, good fight scenes and shit. Like really, like it's epic and shit. But it needs its substance for me. I need to be able to understand these characters, find these characters interesting and shit. But literally, dude, this guy Denji is just screaming like, "I want to grab some titties" while killing this demon. It's like, bro, I can't vibe with that. Like, do you want me to laugh, or do you want me to feel like it's a shonen anime and be like, oh, thrilled and shit, like, oh my god, he's about to fight shit? Like, it doesn't have its shonen energy, which, maybe it's not going for, right? But at the same time, the motive for the main character is not something I relate with, so it is what it is. I don't know. It's maybe I'm just not in the target audience, right? Like, because obviously this is a smash hit for a lot of people, but it's not it for me. And fuck, what did I give? Did I give the last episode a 9 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10 or something like that? I think I only did it for power. And I guess I'll give this episode an 8 out of 10 as well, because Power's there, and Power's really cute, and I love her. I guess like another thing as well is Maximum the Hormone did the ED. They did a fucking, it was a beautiful job. I fucking, dude, it felt like it was back in like, what, fuck, when did Death Note come out? 2009 or some shit? It's like you're back then and you're listening to them, and they're gonna be who they're gonna be. I didn't understand the lyrics, but the whole thing of like heavy guitars into like sort of softer singing, and right back into like hard rock shit, and you're just like, oh my god, this is Maximum the Hormone. Good shit as always. I guess I would say I liked this ED more than the last ED, but then that's probably a preference thing. I think they're both really good songs. I do think I did like the animation in the last episode more. Not that this ED animation was bad or anything like that. It was more of like it took time for it to like sort of complete its picture, if that makes sense. But in the last one, you kind of see the story building of like a bunch of these characters from like different walks of life, and then like they finally come together and shit. It was kind of cool to watch. But this was more just like, oh, fucking crazy shit happening, which it is cool. But I would go for ED2 as the best ED so far. And I guess that ends my Chainsaw Man talk. Overall, I guess Bleach is still number one in my heart. Anime of the year, bro. And I'll stand by that. I'm going to stand by that. Like, I can admit that I haven't watched fucking every anime this year, so who the fuck knows? Maybe I'm missing out on some gems. But so far, it's like night and day. Like fucking Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan came out this year, right? Like two of the biggest animes ever. I don't think they're as good as Bleach. Of these three episodes, Bleach is fucking blowing everything out the water. Fucking Oh my god, Spy X Family who? Kaguya who? Oh, it's like Overlord what? It's like, bro, it's Bleach. Chainsaw Man what? Like, who you think this is? Who you think this is, bro? This is Bleach. Bleach is about to fucking take over, bro. If Bleach does not win, I don't know. I don't even know if Bleach is eligible to be Anime of the Year. Like, I mean, the anime started in this year. It should be. And yeah. I can only think Bleach goes up from here. That's why I'm giving it Anime of the Year. Because if it's this good in 3 episodes, I'm like, holy shit. Am I biased? Yes, of course I am. I'm a Bleach fan. And you know what? Bleach fans have been kicked around by One Piece fans and Naruto fans for way too long. It's like, bro, this is our come up. This is our turn. This is our stage. Fucking, I love Bleach. And I guess that's the end of this, right? If you're still watching, please sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And give any feedback if you have any. Thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next week on the next anime review week, episode 4 thingy. See ya.